Good afternoon and welcome to the City of Glendale Small Business Grants webinar. My name is Ani Pagosian and I am the Economic Development Coordinator with the City of Glendale. Joining us as panelists today to provide more information regarding the Small Business Grant Program and the Low Income Small Business Program are Maggie Kavarian, Senior Community Service Supervisor, and Juan Gonzalez, Neighborhood Services Supervisor. We encourage you to ask any questions you may have in the chat box, as we will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. I would now like to introduce you to Juan Gonzalez, who will provide an update on the program. Juan?
Thank you, Ani. Next slide, please. So this afternoon, we are here to let you know what's going on with round 3 of the Glendale Small Business Grants program. The objectives for today, you're going to learn about the general business grant requirements you must meet in order to qualify for a round 3 grant. You're also going to understand the differences between each grant so you can decide which grant to pursue. And we're going to give you some tips for applying and submitting your application. Next slide, please. A little bit of background on our small business grants program. In 2020, the Glendale City Council allocated $2.8 million in federal and local funding to assist small businesses affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. This year, an additional $175,000 was recently added, bringing the total to $2.97 million. In rounds 1 and 2, $1.76 million was distributed to 351 businesses, and we are now gearing up to open up round 3 applications starting June 2021. Next slide, please. So there are 2 different grants in the Glendale Small Business Grants program. I'm going to start off with the low income small business grant first. This grant is funded through community development block grant funding, which is federal funding, and it targets low to moderate income business owners and businesses employing low to moderate income employees. The application period is June 1st through the 11th, and 63 grants are available for those who meet eligibility criteria. Our second grant program is the Small Business Recovery Grant. This one is funded through Measure S funding, that's local funding, and it targets businesses, including nonprofits and houses of worship with 500 employees or less. The application period is June 15th through the 25th, and here we have 184 grants available for business who meet the eligibility criteria. So that's a total of 247 grants that we have funding for. Next slide. So each grant is for $5,000. It's a one-time payment. Grants will be awarded to qualified applicants on a lottery basis. Businesses may apply for only 1 grant, otherwise they risk disqualification. Round 1 and round 2 recipients are not eligible for round 3 funding. So again, if you got a grant in round 1 or round 2, you are not eligible for round 3. The one thing new this round is that businesses may be located in the home. Previously, businesses could only be located in a commercial property. This time around, businesses may be located in a commercial property or home-based. If you are a home-based business, you are going to need a home occupation business permit or be in the process of obtaining one. If your business is in a commercial property, you must have a business registration certificate or be in the process of obtaining it. Next slide. This is what a business registration certificate looks like. It says City of Glendale Business Registration. Previous applicants are sending us permits, cosmetology licenses, we need a business registration certificate. If you plan on applying for a grant and are in a commercial property, you will be asked to provide your business registration certificate. So if you have one, great. If you don't have one, I would recommend that you apply now at www.glendale.hdlgov.com. It will speed up the process if you have all your paperwork. So apply now if you don't have one. Next slide, please. If you're a home-based business, you need to have a home occupation permit. And again, it will say home occupation permit. If you don't have one, you may apply now at www.glendaleca.gov. Apply now because you're going to need to provide this when staff starts reaching out to you. And if you have all your paperwork, it's going to allow staff to process your paperwork quicker. Next slide. Now I would like to introduce my colleague, Maggie Kavarian, who's going to go over the eligibility criteria for the low-income small business grant program.
Thank you, Juan, and thank you, Ani. As Juan had mentioned earlier, this is a community development block grant federal program funding with an application period from June 1st through the 11th of this year. Let me go over a few eligibility criteria with the group. Businesses must have between 1 and 25 employees. Businesses must be in operation for at least 1 year as of June 1st of this year. And then businesses must not have received federal pandemic funding at the time of applying. Please keep that in mind. Also, businesses must be described as non-essential under the Safer at Home restrictions or a restaurant. Now, we will be collecting documentation that the applicant must be a legal resident of the United States. Let's go on to the next slide. Because this is a low-income small business grant, we will be collecting documentation showing that 51% of the employees or the employer, can include themselves, must be of low to moderate income level. We've included the income, family income, median family income for this year for 2020, 2021 for you, and it is available on the city's website to review. Anyone who is applying, 51% of the employees or employer must be of level 1, level 2, or level 3 income to qualify for this particular grant and must provide documentation. Next slide, please. Juan, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over back to you.
Okay, thank you, Maggie. So the second grant that most people can apply for is the Small Business Recovery Grant. The application period will be June 15th through June 25th of this year. Businesses must have 1 to 500 employees, and business owners may include themselves in that count. The businesses must have been in operation for a minimum of 6 months as of June 15th. And various types of businesses are eligible, including nonprofits and houses of worship. We ask that you review the full guidelines on our website for a list of ineligible businesses. Next slide. So how do you apply for a grant? You do so online. You need to go to our website at www.chooseglendaleca.com, and you will see the following screen telling you may apply for one of those grants. And essentially the information for each grant is going to be listed there. It'll have the application period, the fact that it's a one-time $5,000 grant, and it will list the criteria that we have also referred to earlier in this webinar. And there's also a link showing the grant guidelines, and we highly recommend that you take the time to go through the guidelines. It's going to answer a lot of questions about the program, what types of information you are going to be submitting later on to staff. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to staff for clarification. Next slide, please. And once the links go live, you'll able to click on either one of the two grant links. You will be taken to the online application portal. We ask that you read all the instructions carefully. Sometimes people don't read all the instructions because they feel that the applications are taken, as they're submitted. The applications will be, there'll be a random lottery. So it doesn't matter if you're the first person or the last person to submit an application. Take your time in reading the questions. If you don't understand anything, please reach out to us. You're going to be given an opportunity to create an account if you do not have one already. Make sure you save your username and password for your account because you're going to need that to check your place on the lottery list once you have once we release the results of the lottery, and it's going to make things a lot easier for you. The application is going to ask some demographic questions about you, your household, and then we'll segue into questions about your business. Next slide, please. One thing we would like to recommend to keep in mind when filling out your application, if there is a save button at the lower portion of the screen, please click the save button to save your answers. If you don't click save, it will not allow you to move on to the next screen. The statements referring to your business should be answered with a yes or no answer. And then finally, once you get to the end of the application, you click submit to submit your application. At that point, you'll receive an email confirmation that your application was received, and in it, it will also have your application reference number. Save this confirmation email because you will need it to check your status once the lottery results have been announced. One thing that I really can't stress enough is do not wait until the last minute to apply. The system has been set up to cease taking applications at 12 noon on the day applications closed. So if you are submitting or you're in the process of preparing an application and it hits 12 o'clock, the system will no longer accept your application. So please plan accordingly and do not wait until the very last minute. Please make sure you give yourself enough time to submit your application. Next slide. Next, we have the small business grants timeline that the low income small business grant applications open June 1st at 12 noon and will close June 11th at 12 noon. The small business recovery grant applications open June 15th at 12 noon and will close June 25th at 12 noon. Lottery results will be announced July 14th at 12 noon. Next slide. We also want to let you know about another grant that is available to small businesses. This one is a PPE $500 reimbursement grant. We will reimburse businesses up to $500 to reimburse expenses related to the purchase. Sorry about that. Related to the purchase of PPE equipment. We have funding for 900 brick and mortar businesses. So those are businesses in commercial properties, and receipts are required. Applications are ongoing until the funding runs out. And for more info, you can visit www.chooseglendaleca.com/PPE program. Next slide, please. If you have any questions for staff, you can always contact us at the Small Business Grants Hotline, 818-548-2067, during our regular office hours. And those are Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Fridays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. After office hours, please leave us a message and staff will get back to you the following business day. You may also email us at smallbusinessgrant@glendaleca.gov. Again, that's smallbusinessgrant@glendaleca.gov. So at this point, we would like to open up the Q&A system in case there are any questions out there in the chat.
I do not see any questions at the moment. So if you do have questions, please place it in the chat and we will be happy to answer them. I guess there are no questions, Juan.
Okay, well, if you are watching this webinar at a later date, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Again, the number is 818-548-2067, and staff will listen to your question and help you figure out one grant or the other, especially if you're thinking about the low income grant and you're not exactly sure if you meet the requirements. Reach out to us. You know, we will ask you some questions and help you figure out exactly what grant you need to be applying for. If you have questions while reviewing the grant guidelines, you know, once the list is established, your case manager will be reaching out to you, asking for tax returns and employee payroll, and additional documents verifying the answers that you gave in your application. So feel free to give us a call. And again, please don't wait until the last minute. We are here to help you. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, Juan. We did get a question. Is there a way to watch the recorded version of this video? Yes, this video is recorded and it will be posted on our website at chooseglendale.gov, I believe. And it will be on our social media platforms as well, Choose Glendale. Another question.
CA.
CA.com. And that, stop. Thank you, Juan. Another question that came up, is it this specific grant or others? Not quite sure what that means, but we do have two different programs. It's the Small Business Grants Program that Juan covered, and it's the Low Business Small Business Grants Program that Maggie covered.
And then we also have the PPE program, which is reimbursable for up to $500. And we also want to encourage those of you small businesses to visit our website. We will always have the most current information about city programs. We also encourage you to follow us on social media and to sign up for our electronic newsletter, our economic development newsletter. Whenever we have information about regional grants, state grants, we also get that info out to you. So we want to make sure that we can get in contact with you. So make sure you sign up for our newsletter. And you can do that on the website.
Great. And I just placed the website in the chat as well for those of you asking. It's chooseglendaleca.com/small business grants with an S. I don't think there are any further questions. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you to the panelists, Maggie and Juan.
Thank you, Ani.
Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.